Once you have decided what kind of coop you are going to have, and maybe the size of it, and where you're going to have it, building the actual coop and key elements that you will need to make a successful coop are very, very important. So let's go through some of these things. I have a long list, and this will also be in your notes that you'll get, so you can always reference back to them if you need. But I'm going to say these are successful tips for a good coop design. It's easy to clean. The easiest way to achieve that, I believe, is to have a human-sized door so you can go inside your coop. If your coop just has a small entrance and you can't really get in there and get in the nook and crannies, it's going to be really hard to clean. Granted, there are some coops that are just smaller for a few hens, and those are okay because you can easily open them up and clean them. But if it's a much larger structure, make sure that you can actually walk into the structure and clean it out. It'll just make your life a lot easier. You want to ensure that your coop has good drainage, and this is something that we've had a few issues with when it comes to our run. It's kind of nice if you actually put your coop a little bit on a hill so the water can drain out and there's no puddles, but just make sure you think about that when you're deciding where to put your coop so that there is good drainage. You want to make sure there's not water going inside their actual coop. In their run, you might not be able to avoid that, but just keep in mind those things when you're figuring out where to put it. You want to protect your flock from the wind and from the sun, and it's just important. Like, think about you. If you're out there, you don't want to be in that strong wind and the rain and the sunshine. So in their run, which is the separate little area that usually attaches to the coop that they can kind of be outside but still fenced in their run, make sure there's an area that's covered where they can be shielded from the wind and from the rain and from the heat, because it can get very hot and the weather can be, depending where you live, can be terrible. So just make sure they have a place for that. Keep rodents, wild birds, and predatory animals out. We'll talk a little more about that, predators, but try to have your coop be built where nothing can just easily run in. You don't want a squirrel to be able to just get in there. You really ideally don't want mice and other rats and things to be able to easily get in their house. For this, you're going to need proper wire, proper fencing. Keep that in mind when you are building your coop. We talked about this a little bit, but it to be the adequate size for your animals, and make sure it can fit all that you're going to get. We ended up with some turkeys and some ducks, so we got to make sure everyone fits in there. So just really consider that. It is well ventilated. I can't express this enough. We have a window in our coop. At the top of our coop, there's a little edge that has chicken wire going in it, but it allows the wind to go in and out. And you just really want to make sure there is ventilation, because if it's stagnant in there and it gets hot and the ammonia smell from their poop and their pee, and it's just can be very bad for their health. So just make sure that there's enough ventilation. On the flip side of that, you want it to be free of drafts. You don't want there to be so much wind and ventilation that they're going to get cold or something like that's going to happen. So keep in mind that there is not strong wind going in and out all the time. They're being very feisty behind me. Can you hear them? They're very excited about talking to you. Okay, free of drafts, but at the same time, good ventilation. I know it seems difficult to have all that, but it's very possible. Has plenty of space for them to roost, which is where at night they're gonna perch and they're gonna sleep. Make sure there's plenty of space so they're not overcrowded. Chickens do have a little bit of hierarchies, and they pick which is their favorite chicken and which is their least favorite. And some of the chickens like to roost higher up, some like to roost a little lower, so just make sure there's plenty of space for everybody. There's nesting boxes. You want one nesting box for every 4 hens. So if you have 16 hens, you need 4 nesting boxes, and you can do the math. Just make sure there is plenty so that they aren't cramped when they're trying to lay their eggs. Natural light is very important, because a chicken lays eggs and kind of determines its daily cycles based on, sorry, I lost my train of thought with the sunshine. That's a lot of talking.
No, just...
Okay, just stop real quick. I'll start this one.
Well,
It's what? Sunshine all of a sudden.
Wait, hold it. No, we don't need it.
I can just keep going if you don't stop. I'm gonna keep going. Okay. Natural light is very important because it allows the chicken to know when to lay their eggs or not. A chicken needs natural light to be able to lay their eggs, and make sure that coop is positioned in a place where they have plenty of sunshine. It's very good for their health. Keep that in mind. All right, sanitary feed and watering stations. Wherever you put your feeders and your waters, and we're gonna talk about that a lot more in detail, but make sure it's a place where they can stay clean and you can clean them easily and change them out if needed. That'll make it easier on you, and then it'll make them happy as well. If you use aluminum roofing, that'll kind of help reflect the heat a little bit. And if you also paint your coop white, that helps it from not being super hot. A black chicken coop is really cute, but that paint will really make it like really, really hot inside. So you want to paint it a light color so it's not super hot. All these things are so important when building your coop. You want to have a proper chicken door that's the right size for them to be able to go in and out. That's like 10 inches wide by 13 inches high is perfect for them to be able to go in and out. A little more on ventilation. Why do you want good ventilation? You know, if you have enough air that supplies enough oxygen for them, they need that oxygen. It removes moisture from the air. A lot of times chickens can get sick if it's too moist inside their coop. If it's good ventilation, that'll remove a lot of the dust particles that are floating around. It removes the amount of diseased organisms that could be floating through the air. And if you can smell a lot of ammonia when you go in your coop, then it's probably not ventilating properly. So that's really some of the main reasons you want to make sure it's ventilating. All right, I got a few more notes on building our coop, and then we'll move on. We started off with a wooden floor, and then we realized that ended up being retaining some moisture. We ended up having some rats come in and oh man, it was complicated. So we ended up actually doing a concrete floor, and that worked best for us. That might not be the best for you or what you choose, but in our case, we think it was a good idea because now nothing can crawl in through the bottom, and it's a solid floor you can clean, and it's been really great.
There's one more thing she's not telling you that I really, really like, and my chicks like it too, and that's vinyl. It's not 1980, but vinyl is my favorite. Put you some vinyl in that chicken coop.
So, coop design, what do you want it to look like? I mean, look on Pinterest, you'll get plenty of ideas, but make sure it's practical. You don't want it just to be beautiful, you need it to be practical so your hens are happy and healthy.